Just Turtle Pope's really cool. It's me sitting in a ball. Blah 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 blah. Woo. All right. Hello. So it is time, and I'm gonna make this brief because I got a lot to talk about while I show you clips. So what you just saw before is this build, my Pure Cancer build, or formerly my Pure Cancer build. That's right. It's finally time to show Moonveil as it was, and we're gonna see as it is now. Is it still powerful? You'll find out, right? But before, as you can see in the clips, this move would pretty much kill 90% of your your combatants. I'd love to show you more, except the fact that I would hate to show you more of what it was like before this patch. Oh my gosh. This patch, and everything I'd like to talk about this patch, has just about everything to do with Moonveil, because I feel that Moonveil is the crux of why this patch is the way it is. So anyway, I'm going to show you the build. This has not changed before the patch and after, besides going for some fashion souls. So at the stats here, if I could, there we go. So here we go. We have 69 intelligence. Haha, funny number. So this means we can get to 79 intelligence with our physic, and our physic is boosting our 10 intelligence and 15% magic damage boost in PvP, which compounds with the Scorpion. Like I said before, don't let anyone tell you the Scorpion it's not worth it in PvP. It's absolutely worth it. Oh my gosh. Then I believe it compounds also with the 15% of Shard of Alexander. Obviously, this build is to boost the only thing you needed to use before this patch, which is Transient Moonlight, the Ash of War on the Moonveil, okay? We use a Staff of Loss because we want to boost our Night Shard damage. It's really the one spell I used, as you saw in the clips. Now, I actually use a lot of the build, and we'll get into it, okay? But just so you see on the build, everything we're doing is centered around Transient Moonlight, maximizing its killing potential. Before, that was pretty much all you did. Hit L2, hit R2, you win! Haha! Now we'll see if I have to maybe use Night Shard. I added Ambush Shard, get a little more range out of that, but it's not boosted like Night Shard is on this staff. And then Star Shower is just a really good spell, as you'll see. But really, Star Shower and Glintstone Scrap here, love Glintstone Scrap, scales with Int, right? These are just to get people to stop running away from you, or to do chip damage, to put them in that deadly range. We have Magic Fortification, which was, in my opinion, a must for invaders before this patch, right? And then I never used Law of Regression, really. And then we just have some other tools like Crystal Dart for, popping bubbles and stuff. We're going to get right into the clips, and I'm going to talk over them. There's a lot of them because, yeah, it's actually kind of fun to play this build now. It's not as one-trick pony, I guess that's spoiler alert, right? But it is definitely not the absolute cancer that it was, and that's what I'd like to talk to you about today. Not just the patch, but Moonveil, and why I absolutely hated this frickin' weapon, and I wanted to like it. I want it to be good, but I don't want it to be abysmally bad and nerfed into the ground. Thankfully, they found a way to, I feel, make a nice middle ground. So let's watch the clips. I've got a few topics to talk about relating to the Moonveil and the greater patch in total. All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. All right. So, I guess this video is going to be pretty meta, since we're talking about the game more than we're just talking about the Moonveil here. So, on that sense, if you haven't figured it out yet, just use my voice for an incredibly long 30-minute video or whatever to fall asleep to my beautiful, soothing talking voice, right? That, or you can go find some awesome copyright music and play it in the background and mute my video and just make the montage for me. There you go. So enjoy the clips while I talk. They're probably not going to be related. I'm just going to watch, make sure this doesn't run out of time, okay? Got a few topics to talk about. They're all Moonveil related, but they kind of speak on why this game had problems and where it is now, and how I feel about that, right? So this is all going to be a thinly veiled Moonveil metaphor for the game, right? So anyway, I'm gonna be very dry this video because I've had quite the problem with this game, and the Moonveil before and after really pinpoints what those problems are and how I feel about things. But don't worry, I'm not complaining this whole video about Moonveil and stuff. I was, in my own time, bitching about Moonveil, because before this patch, the problem I feel with this game is that Ash of War, as if this is like a unique opinion, but Ash of War were stupidly, grossly over-tuned, okay? Everyone was saying damage was too much in this game, and that's true, but only for really Ash of War and certain magics, certain sorceries can be, tuned down. But it's not like 1 or 2 Ash of Wars were broken or stupid or retarded. The people who think they can run Royal Knight's Resolve and, oh, I'm not running Moonveil, you're just as bad. Just because you're using extremely cost-efficient FP spell to boost your next stupid, unavoidable attack, your crouch poke or whatever it is, does not mean, oh, I'm better than the Moonveil users, okay? So keep that in mind when I'm talking about Moonveil. All these other all these other jerks, I don't have a lot of sympathy for players in this game because everyone just runs whatever broken cancer crap. It's human nature, okay? So it's just a game. Get over it. It's not a big deal, right? But it admittedly ticked me off, and it's very hard to show a positive attitude playing this game. It's almost counterproductive that I'm forcing myself, bashing my head, putting up with all this crap. And why? Because even before this patch, it's like you could squeeze something fun with depth and intrigue and variety and creativity out of there's this awesome game underneath all this Ash of War retarded damage, right? And you're gonna watch these clips like right now, and yes, I'm still kicking butt with the Moonveil, okay? But go back to the beginning of this video. It's nowhere near as bad as what we were putting up with pre-patch, right? So now what is it like? Okay, now people are saying things like, oh, thrusting weapons are like really scary now. No, they're not. Weapons are not better now. Weapons are what they were before. They're better in the sense of the poise mechanics, and we'll get to that. But like the reason you're noticing thrusting swords all of a sudden is because now you're playing the actual game that was hiding under all that Ash of War BS. The ridiculous damage of hitting L2 and winning, right? So before patch, it's this big problem where I can make a build just focused on hyper, like doing the most retarded damage with L2 or the stance attack, right? Transient Moonlight. But almost any Ash of War could really do that. And you didn't even need to build for it. And then it gets compounded by having 2 or 3 people just sling that crap out. It didn't even have to be Moonveil, right? But that Moonveil was the most annoying thing because it exemplified how bad this game was. And anybody could run it just because you heard from a friend, dude, you gotta use this awesome beam katana, right? And it's ridiculous to play a game like that. But now, okay, but you're doing like thousands of damage. Yes, I'm doing 1,000 damage to player, 900 damage to player. Realize I was doing 1,500 to people. People already can't, a lot of players can't wrap their head around vigor for some reason and don't level their HP, right? So like when I'm punishing people post-patch now, it's because, one, I'm punishing these people who are sacrificing too much HP or don't understand how to make a build or don't get PvP in general, right? They're just playing through the game, it's just a game, whatever, bro. Get it. I get it. Okay. But if you notice now so far in these clips, I'm not one-shotting people. I'm having fights with them. And that's not just Moonveil. That's overall with this patch. It's a lot better. It's just a lot better. It's more enjoyable. You can engage people. You don't have to squeeze out the enjoyment of like these trade-offs, these scrappy battles where you're like, oh, what should I use next? Should I use Night Shard to bait him in? Should I chip him down and then trick him? And I'm thinking way more than just slapping my L2 and boom, I get him. I win, right? And keep in mind again, how am I building this damage, right? An average player could have just slung out their Moonveils before and just took out 60% of your HP like I'm doing right now. Now they can't, and you'll see sometimes in these clips, I go up against somebody with a Moonveil. I'm not buffed with Magic Barrier like before. You know, I'm just able to fight people and have a good time. But the reason I'm able to wipe out 900 HP in one attack is because it's well-timed, it's set up, right? You're not thinking about that Moonveil anymore. I got you thinking about my R1s, my R2s, my running attacks, my crouch attacks, my magic. My magic actually has a point now. It's not just a build centered around hitting one button. But Moonveil, I wouldn't have a problem now telling somebody like, oh, you want to use Moonveil? Yeah, there's a lot of ways to incorporate it into your build. You could focus on it. You could, you know, throw it in a Dex hybrid build. Before, people were saying this weapon's a Dex int weapon. It's never been a Dex int weapon just because you could pay 18. It's like a tax, right? You could pay 18 Dex to use the best weapon in the game. Anybody's going to do that. But the thing scales directly off of intelligence. Its magic damage is a better source of damage. You might as well hone in on that for regular attacks. And then the only thing you really want to do with it is just slap people with the Ash of War. And then, guess what? I guess you can use magic. It was an insult to any build using intelligence because it was the stupidest build you could make. It's just dumb one-trick pony crap, but it worked. It always consistently worked. It didn't matter that it was dumb and one-trick, and that's the core issue with all of these Ash of Wars. There's a deeper, better game, especially for PvP underneath this, but you couldn't get to it rarely because, oh, well, let's see who mashed L2 faster and quicker and got lucky. But now, you want to do damage like I'm doing? You have to put 80 intelligence, 70, 80 intelligence, right? Right? You might as well be using spells, because that's the extra benefit of using an intelligence build, right? You don't feel like an idiot for not using Moonveil when you're running like an intelligence build. You don't feel like you're gimping yourself. You're just like, yeah, I know that's a strong option, right? But I'm going to use something else. It's cool. Before, you felt like, I'm just using a dumb, gimmicky int build because anything that's not Moonveil is retarded, right? You're actively putting a challenge on yourself. Now, it's fair argument to say, no, there's actually other good int builds, and I would probably agree now, right? But overall, right, you want to do this damage, you got to make sacrifices for it. I don't care what anyone says, 125, you don't make sacrifices. I'm of the opinion 125, for once, is actually a pretty good meta level for PvP, and I'm not exactly someone who's like obsessed with the dueling like a lot of people are, or, you know, there's a lot of PvE fans, I get that, but this is a PvP video, what are you doing here, right? I'm an invader, I'm fighting other people at this level, or I'm fighting over-leveled people, and it still doesn't feel like it's a shit fest of L2s. Now it feels like, okay, there's some proper thinking here, outplaying, outskilling people, you know, you can do some cute stuff, and a lot of things feel like they have merit and purpose now, instead of just being largely overshadowed by this stuff. If I sound like I'm running around and repeating myself, I am, because I can't drive this home enough. What I'm getting at is this game, and why this patch is so celebrated, is because 1.06 did a lot for the functionality, quality of life of like, just getting multiplayer working in an open world. Like, are you that retarded that you didn't have the near and far search option? Now 1.07, you know, is going the route of last patch. Hey, you guys like that Rivers of Blood change? How about we just do that for everything? Yes. They didn't even specifically target this weapon, the Moonveil. They just straight up said, okay, we're listening, and that's awesome, and we want to try and give you guys a better experience. And maybe that's what they're saying with the patch. I don't know. The proof's in the pudding, though. It's just more enjoyable to play. And again, sorry if I'm contrasting with what I'm saying with whatever you're watching in the clips, right? If I look like I'm kicking butt, trust me, plenty of times I'm getting my butt kicked too. Okay? This is not the stupid L2 stick that it used to be, but don't get me wrong. I don't think this is the hardest weapon to figure out and use, and maybe even abuse. It's just on a different... It's in range with what it should be. You got to build for it if that's what your primary focus is, right? But before, people were telling me, oh, it's a Dex int weapon. It's not a Dex int weapon. It's just something that's retardedly strong, and it's just basically paying a tax for an incredibly good weapon you'd be stupid not to use if you wanted to really be competitive or win or whatever you care about, right? But, you know, as I said earlier, the way we're building damage here, we're using the Scorpion. I've said many times, Scorpions are absolutely great to use if you know what you're doing. Now, because of this patch, I feel like I got buffed because of this patch. All the things I think about and talk about, analyze, I was probably right, but ultimately I'd always be wrong, because if you really wanted the best build, just use L2 and get a lot of HP. Got it. Now when I tell people you don't really need more than 50 Vigor, that's totally fine. Well, I'm right, because they lower damage across the board. Right? Ashes of War are nowhere near as devastating as they were before. You're not losing 60% of HP from Ash of War unless it's mine, and I've got no defense. I'm abusing it with light roll, but that's a whole nother topic, right? And I'm making sacrifices, right? I'm using the Scorpion Charm, I'm stacking all my buffs towards offense, not defense, and look, I'm still dying, okay? It's not a big deal. Look, 3 against 1 is still a hot, very big advantage, right? So, in order to do this, and I said this on the lightning video, right? How to build lightning. You're building lightning wrong. You're not using lightning magic the right way. I've done it a little bit this patch. I won't say for sure. It definitely changed my plans on showing off more lightning stuff, because now things are very different. But just so you know, you can still very much use a lightning character with Ash of War magic and all that stuff. But yeah, you have to build towards it, which is what I was getting at. You got to really make the sacrifices with talismans, give up things like poise, maybe try and incorporate, you know, the light roll and all that stuff. Get the synergy working in order to be a better player with a better build, and that's what gives you 1100 damage on this guy, right? So, you know, before it was just you slap L2, you win. You know, you got it out, you got lucky, or you put it first, or there's 3 of them against 1. It's just, I don't even know how I bashed my head for so many months at this, and here we are, the promised land. But how do I feel about the patch, and what does this have to do with Moonveil? I'm saying that Moonveil's still this strong weapon, and I think we're going to see Moonveil start becoming more of an invader weapon rather than something that people are running around with on their playthroughs or as a phantom, because now you actually need more than just the L2 stick. Now you need to know how to use the Katana moveset, which, furthermore, talking about the patch, a lot of people don't understand poise. There's 2 things I want to talk about poise that you may not be recognizing. There's so many analysis out there. As someone who's not looking at numbers, but, you know, not looking at the table and copy and pasting a tuber and being like, yeah, I got poise, it just works, right? We're done with that game. That doesn't work anymore. You want to buy that, you have to actually buy that with your build. You have to really invest in that, okay? What I mean by that is, I think it's now in the 80s bracket to really get all these light weapons for poise break. And that's a heavy investment, literally a heavy, physically heavy investment for your character. And yet, light roll since the last patch, and I've been saying this, is disgustingly good. In my opinion, it's like a different version of Bloodhound Step. One more, you know, one you have to kind of pay for, again, with your build. Do you want light roll? Do you want poise? These are things you have to actually pay for. And again, I think 125 is that zone, that meta level, that rune level, where you still have to make those decisions and sacrifices. Do you want power? Well, I want power, and I would say now, given the damage nerf in PvP, we're going to see more builds are going to have to look at something like this Moonveil build and say, oh shit, that's real damage. That's like the old days damage. I just can't hit that kind of numbers anymore. And you're going to want to hit those numbers, because in a game where people can just run away and heal on you, it's very powerful. At least for one strategy, it's very powerful to have a strategy to just kind of know that they goof up and you can really punish their whiffs hard with, boom, right there, Moonveil, right? Now, not every weapon can do that. I know Ash of Wars are still powerful. I know some people still think, oh, I don't see the change. I don't know how you couldn't see the changes. But, I mean, Magic is still up there, and we're going to see more Magic. I've been saying Elden Ring devs really want us to play Magic, and they just buffed Magic more than people know, especially with the poise changes across the board. And Magic got poise changes too. Yes, some armors got a little more poise, but poise across the board was increased. So what was I saying about poise? Well, one, a lot of people don't respect that poise isn't just good for poise breakpoints, as in hyper armor or super armor, whatever you want to call it. Poise is good for stagger. Even if you don't have enough poise to tank something, right? Hyper or super through something. You still have, the amount of poise that you have still matters because you may get hit with an ultra or a colossal, right? A colossal weapon, and you will sit there with no poise, and you will get hit again with another R1 because your stagger from your poise level scales based on how high it is. And if you don't have enough, so don't pretend it's not useful anymore, okay? However, it's so costly now that I think we're going to see players are going to, you know, what is it? Habits die hard. So what are players going to do? Copy and paste these meta dueler builds, right? And not understanding why it doesn't work for them out in the field, in the open world, in the invasions. It doesn't work for you because it's all based around some kind of dueling meta, just like Vigor. I could say more on that, but poise breakpoints are absolutely worth it if you know what you're getting out of it, right? But as it is now, poise attack, poise damage from weapons has become very buffed, right? It's received a plentiful buff compared to poise in general going up on armors and what you can get out of the Bull Goat's Talisman, right? And all it really means is if you're willing to embrace what I embrace, right? Just let go of poise breakpoints. Get enough poise that you're not staggered for eternity, right? And play some Fashion Souls. Just let it go. It's a lot better that way. But the real power in all these poise changes is recognizing fast weapons have become even more powerful. They were already the better weapons in the game. And it doesn't matter how much they keep buffing these Colossals right now. They just make big changes like this to poise. And ironically, I don't know if this was their intention, but fast weapons if people don't see what I see, and they don't want to change their ways, that's fine. I'll just carry the advantage. But if you were asking me about it in this patch, and I think the Moonveil, again, exemplifies that, the Moonveil is going to continue to be strong because like all fast weapons, katanas, straight swords, thrusting weapons are so scary now. They're scary now because they were always good for being fast. The poise breakpoints just changed everything that people are used to. And fortunately, as fast as Colossals are now, it still ain't going to compete with just, hey, did you know that if everybody just goes for the bare minimum poise breakpoints, now if you just use an R2, or, I don't know, two-hand your weapon, which also got a buff, if you just two-hand your weapon, well, there goes all their little dedication to poise. But you know you can't stop? Light roll. Light roll does not care about your poise breakpoints. Yes, you might stagger me, but just like poise, you're going to have to invest in endurance. So it's not like endurance is useless. Hell, stamina is more useful than ever. And I've said this for a while now. Mind and endurance are very important stats that people don't want to devote any attention to. Well, I implore you, stop thinking 60 vigor is so important. Start incorporating endurance. Start incorporating mind. You're going to really want the extra FP, the extra chances, because guess what? You don't just kill everybody in one hit anymore, right? And so coming back to Moonveil and everything I just said, Moonveil is going to become an invader weapon because it's powerful, obviously. You've seen a dozen clips, dozens of clips now. Okay? Someone who, and I'm not the best player, but someone who knows how to use this thing. I've known how to use just the regular weapon movesets, just dueling people, regular combat, not just slinging out Ash of War. If you can master that, this patchwork, and probably onwards, you're going to be ahead of the pack. Not because you copied someone's build and put a stupid number for your poise amount, but because you understand right now the biggest, the most lethal advantage you can have against someone is understanding weapons. And fast weapons, like the katanas, are going to kick people's butts, okay? It's just going to stop them in their tracks. Stop hitting just R1, start using R2, start two-handing when you need to, okay? And then yes, you can still dish out retarded Ash of War damage, but you're going to have to build for it now. And you're still going to have to use all your other tools, or build around that centerpiece to really incorporate that damage and use it effectively, right? Okay, so I think this video does pretty good job of stating how I feel about the patch, but it is about the Moonveil, and so I want to kind of wrap things up with the Moonveil. I really hated this weapon. Really, really hated this weapon because I'm going to sound like a record, but I have to just get this out of my system. We're finally here. I was believing and believing and believing, not just hoping, having faith though, we'd get to a point where we might play something sensible. And I'd kind of seen it at like level 90 or 50 or whatever. But this this weapon was ridiculously stupid. And anybody could just hit L2, R2 and win. Now you can probably see I trade blows with just Moonveils like there. Okay? I'm not dying in one hit. I'm not losing 70% of my HP. You gotta really go for it. What else can I say about this weapon? What is my final opinion as of right now with Moonveil and why I didn't want to show it before and I wanted to show it now? Before, it was like, what's so exciting about just seeing a couple clips of just me just absolutely destroying people? Can I keep making videos or showcases? And is this really a build, or is this just like, yeah, I just put some numbers and now I hit a button and I win, right? I mean, that's just not why I like these games. It's not what I like about Elden Ring. And I appreciate that the devs are doing something about it. And here we are, and the game's a lot more fun. And you're dumb enough to listen to a guy talk about Elden Ring for 30 minutes, okay? I appreciate it. I love you. And I love that I'm probably going to keep making videos about this game because hopefully, if I'm right about this, and they keep improving the game, right? I've got plenty of build ideas, and now I get to experiment with them all over again because of the poise changes. But that deeper game there is a lot more fun and a lot more prevalent, a lot more noticeable. It's brought to the front. And this filter, literal filter, that would cut you out of this game. Like the people who played Dark Souls PvP, Invasions, and all that stuff are like, I don't see what you like about Elden Ring. You're like, well, I like the part where I just die. I like the part where I just kill someone in one hit. I like the part where it's a walking simulator. I like the part where I just watch loading screens. You know, I can't even look at myself and go, yeah, well, I know why I like this game. And then after this patch, that game I do like, that's hiding underneath all that, there it is. It's now just there all the time now. I don't have to extract it out of this game. And the exact same thing. It's reflected in the Moonveil. Before, it was this cancerous L2 stick. Now, you may say, you look like cancer, bro. You look like you're just absolutely cutting people down. I am. But it's earned. In some sense. It's still clearly an easy weapon to use. It's still awesome, right? Copy my build. Go out there, kick ass. But it won't be like it was before. And we're going to see big changes in the future with this game because of this weapon, right? It's a good turtle. Well, it's been a literal eternity of my voice and some silly clips about some stupid sword that's been folded a bajillion times. But I appreciate you watching all the same. I really appreciate it. I know it's a long video. It's really more for me than you, but if you care to, go ahead, make a comment, describe how you feel about it. I think the game, and as a reflection to that, this sword is in a good place. We're finally... we're probably going to still see this. It's still probably going to be popular. But by now I've already bashed my opinion about the game and this sword over your head. Moonveil is really cool. I wanted it to be something that was going to be legit, I guess. But like I said, not turned into an absolute dumpster. And I think we're there. Of course, it could use a little more tuning. Maybe you might think my build is a little too strong. But again, I'm making the point that now you kind of have to build for something like this to really extract how deadly it could potentially be and make sacrifices to do that. And that should be, in some ways, a balance, right? But now there are equal options out there that also incorporate more than just one brain cell and one button, okay? But again, I'm going to wrap that up. I really appreciate you watching, and I'll get back to some lightning stuff and cool builds, and even some more Dark Souls 3. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.